Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Leveraging the Salesforce Platform to Address Challenges in the Preclinical and Clinical Space. My name is Mary Kirshner. I lead the customer success team here at FocalCXM, and we are very happy to have you join us today. Before we get started, I want you to know that we will have time at the end for questions or comments. So please post your questions to the Q&A link below, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. Today, we will discuss some of the challenges within the preclinical and clinical research process and how using LabPulse can help to efficiently manage these processes. We are happy to have two experts with us today. Aditya Budvarapu is our co-founder and CEO at FocalCXM. He's a graduate at Duke University's Fuqua School of Business, and prior to founding Focal, worked at Oracle Corporation as a senior CRM product strategist, where he developed world-class enterprise software for the global life sciences industry. He's passionate about re-engineering employee and customer journeys by leveraging CRM platforms, great data, and AI. With him today is Sai Rohith Ramini. Sai Rohith is a Salesforce developer and administrator at Focal. Prior to joining us, he earned a master's degree in computer science from California State University, East Bay. He's a certified Salesforce Administrator, Platform Developer 1, Sales Cloud Consultant, and an Experience Cloud Consultant. Thank you for being here today with us, Adi and Sai Rohith. I'll pass this on to you.
Thank you so much, Mary. So just to set the context here, within the preclinical space, if we start off with that, there are multiple stakeholders, starting with the principal investigator. There could be animal technicians, quality managers, etc. And each of these stakeholders have a diverse set of needs. They should be able to collaborate in a very easy way. They need to be able to document processes, document data, the collection, etc., to be able to present this information to FDA or other regulatory bodies. Next slide. A couple of key challenges that exist within this lab framework that we see today working with many stakeholders globally is first, test repeatability. How do we ensure that whatever tests have been executed in the labs, we are able to replicate them, reproduce them with the same exact parameters? Data and compliance. Because of the animals involved in the preclinical space, there are a number of compliance-related activities that come into play. How do we ensure that software systems are able to provide that level of compliance? Third thing is, how do we cut down the cost associated with these preclinical and clinical activities? And finally, the collaboration aspect that I briefly referred to. How do we make collaboration easier across all these stakeholders, both internal and external? So these are a couple of challenges that we normally see within a lab setting to be able to effectively come up with the processes and data. If you take a simple example here, as illustrated in this slide, a study director or a principal investigator typically allocates, there is a particular project and the tasks are allocated to a number of various stakeholders. In order to even execute this, what we have seen is the project management piece is done in something like Microsoft Teams or some online software that is very difficult to use, may not even be compliant in this particular context. However, one of the recurring patterns that we notice is that the project management tool is something that is online, the tasks and activities are done elsewhere. So there are various places that the preclinical teams need to go to execute their jobs. In this particular scenario, if a task is allocated, how do we ensure that the task is actually tracked, the program is on schedule, running as per schedule, etc. So we see a number of challenges in these administrative and collaborative aspects that we believe we have a good solution that you should definitely explore. Next slide. Typical activities or typical modules that are required are around project management, which constitutes a very important aspect within preclinical and clinical as well. Collaborative task management, protocol management. How do we handle protocols in an efficient way, in a secure way, and in a compliant way? Animal life cycle management. How do we manage, track all the specimens, all the animals which are in the labs? And then quality and enterprise training to ensure that everybody is aligned. So these are a couple of modules that come into play. And what we have seen is that, or what we continue to see is that the smaller biotechs and companies which are in the preclinical and clinical stages, they use a variety of tools to make this happen. And it's often challenging because they may not talk to each other, the tools may not talk to each other, or managing these processes can be extremely difficult. So what we've been doing over the last few years is exploring how Salesforce can be used here. The world knows Salesforce mostly as a CRM system. We come from a CRM background. We do a lot of CRM work, empowering marketing, sales, and service teams. However, Salesforce is way beyond just CRM platform. It's a low-code platform that you can leverage to build applications for IT and for business to really accelerate your processes, to really streamline your processes. And that's where we believe that our experiment on the Salesforce platform has been fairly successful because we are able to address many of the challenges faced in the preclinical and the early clinical space by using Salesforce. Next slide. There are a number of advantages considering Salesforce Cloud. One, if you haven't noticed, this is 2024 July timeframe. Salesforce recently announced Life Sciences Cloud, which is pretty awesome. And the advantage with that is that Salesforce is committing to the life sciences industry, and hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more commitment, a lot more industry business process optimization in the Salesforce Cloud. The second thing, Salesforce is already compliant with many of the regulations which are required in the industries across various industries. If you go to trust.salesforce.com, you'll see what are all the compliance certifications that the platform has. So by default, you get access to a very compliant SaaS-based software that you can leverage. Oftentimes, integration plays a very important role because these systems do not exist in isolation. They need to collaborate, they need to work together. There could be an ERP system where the sample management, actual master data is there, or there could be other systems like Oracle, and integration plays a very important role. If you do not know, MuleSoft is part of Salesforce ecosystem, and it's a excellent way to support the integration processes in enterprises. So you should be able to leverage and make that integration a lot more streamlined. More recently, Data Cloud and AI are another key aspects of the Salesforce platform as well, when you can bring in data from multiple systems, be able to analyze it, and using Einstein, which is part of the AI engine on top of the Salesforce platform, you can actually automate a number of processes. And what we are very optimistic is the ability to create the IND applications or the CMC procedures and the processes which are required, thereby cutting down the time it takes to submit these applications to FDA. We are in the experimental state on that front, and hopefully we'll be able to present more information next time we meet. Finally, Experience Cloud is part of the Salesforce ecosystem as well, and where there is collaboration with third-party companies. A lot of times you need a set of tools which should sit within the Salesforce platform and that can integrate, or for task management, for calendar management. So these are small applications that are residing within the Salesforce platform, and Experience Cloud can be leveraged to integrate your third-party companies, universities where the research happens, or it could be other CROs, and to be able to create that integrated atmosphere environment for collaboration is an awesome thing from the Salesforce world. And to the end, the last one is around third-party. If you click on the next slide, or App Exchange. So the last one is around App Exchange, where I was talking about briefly, where you have all these third parties that come in extremely handy when you have to leverage the tools within the Salesforce ecosystem in a compliant way to manage them and to improve your productivity in a given day. So what we've done over the last few years is we built out an application called LabPulse that is available today in the App Exchange. It is built on the Salesforce platform from the ground up, and we have live customers using the software today in the clinical space. And what we will do is, with the help of my colleague Rohit, who is along with me, we will give you a walkthrough of what the application looks like, and then open it up for Q&A. The reason for bringing up this application is just to show how easy it is to be able to address the needs of preclinical and clinical space. So in this particular scenario, I've logged in as a principal investigator. I'm sharing my screen here. So you see that there are a whole bunch of projects which I'm responsible for, which are in my portfolio, listed down at the bottom. So here is a quick graph. All the reports can be configurable. There is a quick set of by status, what projects are important to me. And if you scroll down, there are a number of projects which are at various stages, which are important, and I need to have a handle every day so that I know where exactly the projects lie within my ecosystem. So project management is very important, and that's what the application supports. And then in addition to that, if you click on protocol management, protocols. So protocols play a very important role as well in this particular scenario, because protocols could exist in your current systems, or if you want to define your protocols using this application, it's pretty straightforward. You can actually customize it, configure it the way you want to, but then out of the box, there is a protocol management module that we delivered as part of LabPulse, where you can maintain all your protocols from scratch, get them through the approvals, log them down once the protocol is approved, and use them as part of your experiments. Then moving on, specimens is another important module that we built out on top of the Force platform. There could be various reasons. They could be animals, or they could be other reagents, or there could be various types of specimens that you want to maintain in a lab. And we simplified that process of maintaining that specimens. And then the next module that we have is around citations. And what we noticed working with many other stakeholders in large enterprises and small enterprises is that the preclinical researchers, they use multiple tools to be able to maintain the citations. They could be residing in desktop applications, they could be residing in other SaaS-based applications. And really, when the time comes to be able to extract the data and to have the authors and the citations, it takes a long time for anyone to be able to assemble all this information into the documents. So what we did was we integrated with PubMed, so you can actually do a search on PubMed within this application without leaving this space, and then get the citations from there and have the citations ready for you. So we parse the documents, we get all the data that you want, including the authors, it could be an abstract, and the citations are there within the system for your consumption. Moving on, order management is another major module that we have. So oftentimes when researchers, preclinical researchers, they need a specific set of reagents or other products, they usually, what they do is they write them down in Excel, they email it to the procurement team, and the procurement team takes care of processing those orders, and at some point they receive what they're looking for. What we felt was there is a phenomenal opportunity to be able to optimize these processes of order management. So that's the reason why we integrated order management into this application. Again, it was not a whole lot of work, but by leveraging Salesforce, we were able to build out this application in a pretty straightforward way. So using order management, currently, you can create your orders. If I'm a principal investigator, I'm able to create an order here. I'm able to select the products that I need. I'm able to select who the approvers are, depending on the value of the particular order, things like that, which are automated. I can submit the order, and depending upon your organizational need, we can actually integrate it with SAP, we can integrate with Oracle, or whatever ERP system that you have currently within your enterprise. That is what the order management is. So we did a lot of plumbing work. We made it easier for clinical samples management, for order management, to make it easier. And depending on your need, the last mile, we can actually cut down the time it takes, to cut down the cost it takes, to make it easier for the researchers in your organization and all the other stakeholders to integrate with your enterprise framework. And finally, we have a listing of all the products. So you can maintain all your products, you can maintain all your product items. Products could be anything. They could be reagents, they could be species, they could be specimens, or mouse. However, you can customize it, configure it, and you'll be able to do all this stuff. Again, pre-baked, you have everything that you need based on your based on your actual enterprise needs, we can customize them. And the last one right here is the product items, where you can actually, it's like an inventory system. So when animals come in or when products come in and go out, we can integrate with your existing processes so that we can track all the products and what the life cycle is for them. So hopefully this gives you a flavor of the application. And if I drill down into a specific project, so if I go into a specific project and then click one DNA sequencing. So here, as you notice, this is, I'm interested in a particular project. So it is right on top because I review it pretty regularly. And then I click on it and I come into this page. This particular thing has the basic information specific to a project. Now, when I click on Gantt, what I see here is the ability to create activities. Project management, task allocation constitutes a lot of what I do in a given day. So using this particular third-party tool that we integrated within the Salesforce ecosystem, we are able to create activities, and this Gantt chart comes in handy. So if at all we are able to add a couple of tasks to this, all I need to do is click on the create button right there, and then I can enter a new task. It could be data analysis, it could be statistical analysis, whatever the tasks are, and then I can specify the start date, end date for each of these things, who the resources who will be responsible for that, and then just save it, right? So this makes it very easy for me to create these tasks within the ecosystem, within a particular project, and then I can track it. Whenever the expiry date comes in, I get notifications. Whenever I need reminders, I get them into it. If there's a deadline, I can specify that. But using the simple Gantt chart within the LabPulse application or within the Salesforce framework, you can actually optimize it and you can make it easier for your preclinical teams to track their projects, or the clinical teams as well. So this Gantt chart is a simple example, and all the tasks that we create here are natively integrated within the Salesforce platform. That way, it's all connected experience, and you don't have to define them. You're able to leverage the task entity that resides natively within Salesforce. So moving on to experiments, very similar to this. So we talked about task, we talked about Gantt, and then experiments. You can create all your experiments using this. Again, if you click on that particular DNA extraction, the experiment itself could have its own data, metadata in terms of whatever we want to do. It could have its own images. And really, you can drill down into that particular experiment. If you go back to the previous where the project is. So this is a way to track the experiments within a particular project, or if you click on go back button or go back, then you can go back to the bigger view of what a project looks like and all the modules within that project. Rohit, do you mind clicking on the actual project for me?
1 second.
Yeah. So you see these experiments and then the citations. So citations, you could have an overall list of citations, but then what matters to this particular project, you can actually bring in these citations, activities. We don't have any citations right now, but you list of all the activities, because a lot of it that we notice is around collaboration. And how do we make that collaboration easier? What activities are associated to me? What am I, like the tasks which I'm sharing with other stakeholders, managing them? And then project team is who are all the stakeholders within this particular project that I interact with. That way, everything is secluded. We are not bothering everybody within the enterprise. Assignments, what are the assignments which are going on? And then if you click on data analysis, so here you can track all the data sets. Let's say that as part of your observations, you go into the experiment and you track some data for a particular drug and what strain it is, what animal name, the values that you need to store. And note that all these are extremely configurable. They are not set in stone. If you have a different set of parameters that you want to track by, you can absolutely do that. If you go back to the data analysis and click on new, so you can pick what project is it, what experiment it is. If you're in the context of it, they should automatically be populated, and then you store this data. This also is supported on a mobile view, so in case you want to do it in the lab on a mobile phone and have that data, you can absolutely do that as well. So the data analysis and the experiments is one big part of it. So hopefully this gives you a flavor of what the application is and how easy it is to actually build these things out. So within a couple of hours, we can actually build out additional entities that are part of the project. We can bring in your business workflows. So Salesforce provides an extremely configurable way of building your applications, and LabPulse is just one example of what can be done. So if you click on more, if you go into the forms, one of the things that we also notice is that animal forms are very common in the preclinical space. And from what we notice, if you go to any large university, if you go to any research space, all the documents which are useful for euthanizing the animals, whatever the processes are, they are all stored in Word documents as of today. I'm not saying at every location, but on the average, if you pick a public university and you go to the veterinary research space, all the forms are there, and the principal investigators are expected to fill out those forms on Word. So they need to type it in, and then they need to email it to their for the approvals or to track the particular process. What we did was we tried to isolate all those scenarios and make it easier for folks to actually automate these processes using the native capabilities which are built around Salesforce. And to end this demo, all this is very easy to build out. And the generative AI capabilities that I briefly talked about are super exciting for us, because we believe that by using the native AI and Einstein capabilities within the Salesforce platform, we will be able to automate majority of the processes, cut down the time it takes to generate a document. Today, the CMC process is extremely lengthy. A lot of information has to be entered. But using the generative AI and the capabilities within Salesforce, we can automatically populate it so that the principal investigator or the person who is submitting the application to FDA hopefully can have all the information pre-populated, because the data resides in the same platform where the application is being submitted from. And that should cut down the time and the effort required for the principal investigator to submit these applications to FDA. So the whole AI integration, generative AI capabilities which come native to the platform can be extremely powerful in terms of improving the productivity in the preclinical and the clinical space of life sciences. We hope that you find this helpful. We can extend it, as you can see here on the ordering forms. You can automate your animal order forms. If you click on that real quick, so here it's just what does the animal look like, and these are based on research. We assembled all these attributes so that we can cut down the time for your adoption. And if you need any additional fields, we can absolutely do that. The reports are configurable. You can build your own reports. You can integrate with other systems. So definitely, before you embark on your digital journey and before you embark on the digital transformation of your lab environments, do consider Salesforce as an extremely competent and capable platform. And you don't have to be limited to what the tool is, because this is a very powerful platform. You can extend it to solve many of the other challenges which may or may not be directly related to the preclinical clinical space within your ecosystem. With that, we can open up for Q&A.
All right, thank you, Adi and Zairothith. We do have a couple of questions, and we have just a couple more minutes here. So I will bring these up. So the first one is we have our reagent inventory system. Can we bring in inventory from there?
Absolutely. So we've done that in the past as well. So if you have an existing inventory, we can integrate with it. Salesforce makes it extremely easy for the integration. So that is not a problem at all. Yeah, we can absolutely do it. It might be a small project outside the scope of what we showed you, but it's in weeks and days and not months together.
Great. Next question, can we place orders to JAX or other suppliers?
Yes, and that's part of the integration as well. So as long as the service provider or the supplier for the products or the specimens that you integrate with, as long as they provide the APIs or some means of integration, Salesforce by default has the platform, has all the capabilities. So yes, the answer is yes. And again, the integration is done. It really depends upon who you want to integrate with. If JAX provides the APIs, why not? We can do it.
Okay, great. Next question, how do you deal with bringing data from existing projects and other systems?
Sure. So if anyone is curious to try out LabPulse or to move from existing system into LabPulse / the Salesforce application world, then it's a small service project that we typically embark on. We have data migration experts who can come in, who can understand your existing data sets. We know the industry well, and we know your data with your help. And then we can actually load all the data within the Salesforce platform. There are a number of tools that you can bring in external data into it. That way, we'll ensure that your migration from your previous system to Salesforce is successful. And we also test and ensure that the data has been migrated successfully into the new world so that you can get the ground up and running, and you don't have to worry about any data discrepancies from your previous environments.
Great, thank you. Final question here, is the system backed up?
Yes. So there are multiple ways of backing up data within the Salesforce ecosystem. Salesforce provides native capabilities again as an additional service on top of the platform to be able to save the data for regulatory purposes, especially when it's GXP. We need the data set for an extended period of time. We can absolutely do that. And there are also other applications that you can explore supported by third-party companies on the App Exchange that can come in pretty handy too. So there are multiple ways of solving that, and you don't have to worry about it. All your data is protected. It can be encrypted, and it can be stored for a long period of time for disaster and backup process.
Wonderful. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, Adi and Sairohith, and thank you all for joining us. We will have the link to this webinar on our webpage when it is done, and we look forward to seeing you at a future session. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.